Citi Field in New York. Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball today. The Mets play the Cincinnati Reds. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. Come into the Hyundai 4th of July sales event for incredible deals on the award-winning 2015 Sonata. By Verizon, America's largest and most reliable 4G LTE network. By Land Rover, Above and Beyond. By Southpaw, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, in theaters everywhere July 24th. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. And by your Tri-Honda dealer, hurry in for great deals on the 2015 models. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you today as the Mets play the middle game of their series against the Cincinnati Reds. Little rain is falling, but it looks like the game will start on time. Mets have won their last two with minimal scoring, just 13 runs in their last 9 games, but the one guy in the lineup who is red hot right now is the Mets leadoff hitter, Curtis Granderson.
Right, in that 1-7 road trip, Curtis hit 300, over 300 in that trip. His last 6 ball games hitting at a .429 clip with 4 home runs, all solo shots, but there hasn't been a lot of men on base, and he's leading off. So he's been the spark here. I think of note, he's a very streaky hitter, but he's put together 21 games hitting over .312, got his average to .250.
That's one last night with only 2 hits. That was enough for Noah Syndergaard. Jacob deGrom was tremendous the night before. Today the ball goes to Matt Harvey, and Matt has had 2 terrific starts in a row after a bit of a slump.
Yeah, we got the win in Toronto, a big win up in Toronto, then lost a tough one in Atlanta, 1-0, if you recall, 6+ innings to get the 1-0 loss. Remember, it's only 3 starts removed from that really bad start where I thought he hit rock bottom against the Giants. When the Giants rocked him, he had 12 home runs. Hasn't given up a home run since. He's righted the ship. He's out to get his 8th win tonight.
Clean shaven again today for the 3rd straight start. On the other side for the Reds, rookie right-hander Michael Lorenzen.
Well, a 23-year-old rookie, Cal State Fullerton grad, a pretty good hitter, a center fielder for Fullerton, and the closer. He has 2 seasons in the minor leagues, called up this year. He's on a 2-game winning streak, had a couple good starts in a row. He's never, obviously, as a rookie, he's never pitched against the Mets. He's looking to keep his streak going.
So it's the Mets and the Reds with Steve Miller afterward. Mets go for their 3rd straight win. All the action coming your way this afternoon right here on Pix 11. Tarp is off the field, and we're ready to go. Follow the Mets wherever you are with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters. Keys to the game brought to you by Hyundai.
Well, all Cincinnati here is the topic, or the motif. Very nicely done. Harvey, of course, I mentioned in the open, that has not given up a home run, but this is a ball club pitching staff that gives it up. The 1-2-3 hitters are as good as they get in the National League. For the Reds, got to be careful with that. And, of course, we all know about the Mets and their run support, and particularly for Harvey. You see that 2.6 in his last 9 starts.
Well, you know what that means? It means the Mets got to get down to Swingtown. It's the Mets and the Reds. First pitch coming right up.
More singles.
By Land Rover, Above and Beyond. Brian Price made some changes today. Marlon Byrd getting a start in center field. That is very unusual. The former Met, almost 38 years old, going to play center field today. Skip Schumacher gets a start in left. Ivan DeJesus Jr., his first start at shortstop for the Reds. And the switch hitting Tucker Barnhart behind the plate, behind those big top 4 in the Cincinnati batting order. They were held in check last night by Noah Syndergaard. Reds managed just a run on 5 hits, the only run coming on a broken bat groundout. Terry Collins hopes to have Daniel Murphy back in his lineup Tuesday night when the Mets entertain the Cubs, but for now, going with the shorthanded crew that's managed just 13 runs in 9 games, and the Mets, who have a wealth of young starting pitching, will add to that tomorrow. Steven Matz is in the building, was introduced to the media today, and will pitch against the Reds tomorrow.
That's something to look forward to. There's Matt Harvey right there getting prepared. Clean-shaven Matt.
Well, we mentioned Steven Matz out of Ward Melville High School in Setauket, born in nearby Stony Brook. It's been a long time since a high schooler has made his debut with the Mets from Long Island. He will be out there tomorrow afternoon. But for today, it's the dark night on a dark afternoon. It's raining, it's windy, but Harvey is set to go.
Well, it's a big start. I mean, it's a lot of burden on the pitchers here as you look at Matt's numbers. 15 starts. Hard to believe we're this deep into the season. It's almost halfway through his, most pitchers get 32 starts on the year. Walks are outstanding. He's in the top 5 in that category in the National League, in the strikeouts. So whenever you have as many strikeouts as innings pitched, you are categorized as a strikeout pitcher. And we'll take a look at the Kia defense bringing it. It is, I'll repeat it, it's brought to you by Kia. And the Lagares, Kadire, and Granderson, the triumvirate that's been out there pretty much every day. Dilson Herrera got a big triple last night. They got the rally going, the 2-out rally to win that ball game. Tejada back in the lineup after being grazed in that left elbow, and Plawecki behind the plate.
Nice to see Ruben able to bounce back so quickly after getting hit by the pitch last night. By the way, speaking of hands and elbows and such, I'm sure that most of the fans have heard the news on Giancarlo Stanton, a broken hamate bone in his left hand, out 4 to 6 weeks.
And you said that he thinks he hurt it on a swing.
He was not hit by a pitch.
That's a shame, because, my goodness, 20 plus, 26 home runs?
26.
My goodness.
And the Marlins had been stumbling even with that. Now 15 games under 500, and that just could put the death knell on their season. A season that they thought was going to be very promising, and it hasn't turned out that way.
Whenever you're 15 games under 500, it's almost a virtual impossibility.
That means Ichiro Suzuki is going to have to play a large role for the Marlins.
Yep, and you note there too, the Nationals are red hot. They have won 8 of their last 10. They kind of got a 3.5 game lead over the Mets.
Brandon Phillips will lead things off for the Reds, looking to extend his Flushing streak. 30 games at Shea Stadium and Citi Field, and Brandon Phillips has hit in every one of them, going 1 for 4 last night.
4-time All-Star. Sorry, Gare.
The weather is going to play a consideration in this game. It's raining right now, and it's supposed to rain harder later. So we'll see how that all plays out. The Mets talked about having Logan Verrett ready to piggyback with Harvey. The reason we haven't started yet is the bullpen door is open, and the visitors' bullpen.
Let's go, guys.
So rather than have Phillips hit one through the door,
we're working here.
Fans came ready for the weather today. So Harvey and Phillips are set to go. And the first pitch of the afternoon from Matt is low and away for ball 1, and we're underway.
Well, the field in good condition. It's a light rain, but it's coming from the southwest, almost in a northerly direction, and there's heavier rain down in Philly.
Right now the wind is out of the east-southeast. And you know, you get these storms and sometimes they swirl around. So I mean, we've always had rain out today in Detroit, rain out in Baltimore. It's raining in Pittsburgh and raining in Philadelphia. So there's a lot of rain in the eastern half of the country. And Matt throws his first strike, 2-1.
Do we have a sponsor for that weather report?
No, maybe we should have one. You know, there was a time when the Shea Stadium tarp had a Morton Salt ad on it. It'll pop up on the first base side and foul ground, and Duda sliding to make the first catch of the day. Nicely done by Duda. He really had to turn on the Jets. 1 out.
Well, that's going to be wet down there in that track. There's no tarp. It's been raining it's around 45 minutes. And got a dirty uniform. You never want to have a clean uniform after a game. But you know why, folks? That means you probably got an offer and you've done nothing in the field.
What if you hit 4 home runs?
Well,
never get dirty.
Well, okay. So I never thought of that.
Here's Joey Votto. Votto had a 32-game on-base streak coming into the series. That ended last night when he went 0 for 4.
And Votto attacking the first pitch of the game. Did it last night. That's so unusual.
Flied out in the first inning against Syndergaard last night. And he takes a fastball for a strike from Harvey, 0-2.
Well, Matt looks sharp already, and Votto in the 2-hole. That's that new, I guess, sabermetric philosophy that more chances in the lineup of the 2-hole to drive in.
It's one out to right center field, cutting over is Granderson, and he makes the sliding grab. So 2 batters, 2 slides, 2 out.
A little bit of rain. Everybody wants to have a little fun.
It's like a slip and slide.
Nice play by Curtis.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Todd Frazier, the actual number 3 hitter for the Reds, and why not? He's having a fantastic year. The Toms River native, 24 home runs, 52 RBIs, 21 doubles, leads the league with 46 extra base hits.
This lineup was pretty much taken care of
by Noah Syndergaard last night, who I felt had his best start of the season. Went 8 strong innings, 5 hits, no walks.
Frazier went 1 for 4 last night. And he pops one up into shallow left. Kadire coming in. No slide necessary. Side retired. Harvey gets him out 1-2-3. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first. No score. Third straight day, the Mets will bat the pitcher 8th with Dilson Herrera hitting 9th. Mets managed just 2 hits yesterday. First time in their history they've had just 2 hits in a win in which both hits were for extra bases.
Oh, there's Michael Lorenzen, born in Anaheim, California, 6'3", 203-pounder. Only 2 years in the minor leagues. Was drafted in 2013. Went from rookie ball to Double-A. 3 jumps that season. Last year he was mainly in relief. Last season he had 24 starts in Double-A. So here he is in the big leagues.
Granderson 4 leadoff home runs this year, including 1 last night. He takes up and away from Lorenzen. Granderson had 4 leadoff home runs last year for the Mets as well. The club record is 6, held by Jose Reyes in 2006. And he loops one into left center for a leadoff hit. Over comes Schumacher to cut it off. Granderson trying for 2, and he makes it safely.
Excellent.
Leadoff double for Curtis Granderson, who remains red hot.
Well, Curtis hustles, that's for sure. And this is good hitting. Didn't try to pull that one, Garrett. Ball down and away, right into the gap. And Schumacher here, got a wet turf out there. And Curtis never hesitated. Hustled out of the box. He smelled the double coming out. First step. Well done.
11th double of the year for Granderson. So the Mets poised in the first inning against Lorenzen, who's given up a first inning run in each of his last 3 starts. Ruben Tejada was 0 for 1 last night. Got hit on the elbow by a pitch and came out of the game. But right back in there today. For Michael Lorenzen, his 10th major league start. He's also had 2 relief appearances. And the breaking ball misses low. Now, interestingly, the Reds pinched the corners in, maybe thinking that with the rain and possibility of a rain-shortened game that the Mets might play for 1 run.
Well, you certainly have to entertain that possibility, which puts your defense a little bit in jeopardy.
But no intention of bunting from Tejada, and it's 1-1.
Does Ruben always wear an elbow pad, or he just got it on because he got?
I think he put it on after getting hit last night.
After the grazing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, had he been hit with the pad on, he might not have come out of the game last night.
Right. Okay. And Campbell wouldn't have had an at bat. Who knows what would have happened? Campbell had a terrific at bat. Part of that inning where they scored the run with 3 straight walks.
Walkathon against Johnny Cueto. Low and in, and he does not swing. 2-1. This is last night. No elbow pad.
Got him good. Just a lot of meat there. Just going to have. It was a contusion. Contusion means bruise. That's what your mom used to say.
Stayed in and ran the bases, then came out of the game.
I love it. You know, when you used to go out and got bruised, your mom would go, "Oh, it's just a bruise." Or your dad.
She didn't say just a contusion.
Contusion.
Johnny Cueto took the loss last night. Lucas Duda, who is really struggling right now, waiting on deck. That's trying to cash one early. Granderson at second and nobody out. Lorenzen behind 3-1 on Tejada. And Ruben pulls one down to third. Granderson will have to hold. Frazier throws out Tejada, so Ruben unable to advance the runner, and that's the first down.
No, doesn't get the job done there. I'm sure Ruben's not happy. Nice play by Frazier. It's routine. Nice backhand. But the ball hit hard. He's in. He knows he has time to really look back at Granderson, who had ideas, if he was ignored, to try to advance the third. Well done.
So Granderson still at second with one out. And here's Duda, and with the runner at second, a modified shift against Lucas, who takes up and away for ball one.
And lo and behold, what a surprise. Lead him off with a changeup. That's all he's been getting a steady diet of.
Changeup is very much Lorenzen's third pitch. He's a guy who was a four-seam fastball guy in college as a closer, more of a two-seam guy as a starter. And he throws one by Duda, 1-1.
Pretty good fastball right there. Just had a little life to it.
Lorenzen played center field and was a closer at Cal State Fullerton. Didn't become a starter till last year in the minor leagues in Double-A. He throws that one by Duda at 96. So there's that four-seamer.
When you get the ball above the belt, if you look at Lucas's swing, he's really dropping that back left shoulder, makes him vulnerable to the good gas upstairs.
Michael Cuddyer on deck. Lucas 0 for 3 last night, but had the bases loaded walk that proved to be the difference in the game. And he strikes out on a breaking ball. So Lorenzen fans Duda for the second out.
I don't think he swung, but you know what? Today's game, it's almost, well, it's, I guess so. I don't.
Well, the home plate umpire Tom Woodring wasted no time.
Oh yeah, he
Lucas out.
Yeah, he did. Much better angle right there. Our crack outfit in the truck.
So Lorenzen, who doesn't strike out many, picks up his first, and now there are 2 out, and Granderson's still on second. And Michael Cuddyer, the batter. Cuddyer 0 for 4 last night, now 1 for his last 20. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, it's been a struggle for a lot of players, and really the only 2 players in that 8-game road trip. The Mets only won 1 game. Plawecki and Granderson were the only 2 guys that hit. Everybody else hit under 200. So that would pretty much factor into a 1-7 road trip. So their Mets are just trying to get it together offensively.
Wilmer Flores would be next. Well, the Mets this season, with runners in scoring position and 2 out as a team, are hitting 187. And that's why they're second to last in the National League in runs scored. Cuddyer lines one to right, but Bruce is right there to pick it off and end the inning. So a leadoff double from Granderson. He doesn't advance. No score after 1. 1,000 fans will receive a Lucas Duda growth chart courtesy of SNY. After the game, all kids 12 and under can run the bases in the Mr. Met Dash. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays. Takes a lot to measure up to Lucas. Jay Bruce will lead off for the Reds in the second against Matt Harvey, who worked a 1-2-3 first.
Bruce from Beaumont, Texas. This is where my mom's from.
Takes first pitch changeup high from Harvey. Bruce was 1 for 4 last night.
You were right last night, Gary. He had a horrible year last year. He hit .217 after 3 years in a row hitting 30+ home runs.
Back-to-back changeups from Harvey to start him off, and it's 1-1.
Well,
Marlon Byrd on deck.
Everybody's expecting Harvey to come out and throw the gasoline. He's got that reputation, but they're going to realize real quick that this is a very polished pitcher that has 3 other pitches, three secondary pitches that he's pretty proficient with.
Lifted to left center, and over goes Kadire to call. And Bruce retired, 1 away. So 4 batters for Harvey. All 4 have hit the ball in the air.
I've always felt at this ballpark here, Gary, that it's an advantage to the Mets to play at home. That these teams that like the Reds and the Phillies would come in with their small ballparks and then have to play in this big park, hitting fly balls that are home runs in their yard and they're outs here.
Well, they play in a bandbox in Cincinnati, so a lot of their home run numbers are inflated. Reds are second in the National League in home runs with 86.
They don't hit in the clutch as a team, that's for sure.
Marlon Byrd has 12 home runs this year. Marlon will turn 38 in August. And getting a start in center field today. His first since a couple of starts as a Met in center field 2 years ago. Well, Hamilton getting the day off.
Talk about resurrecting a career, which he did with the Mets. I like Marlon. He was a good guy.
Got off to a slow start this year, and then he suffered a fractured bone in his wrist. And since coming back, he's been swinging the bat well. Hitting over 300 since coming back from the disabled list. Takes the fastball letter high for a strike. Skip Schumacher getting a start in left field today, waiting on deck. The rain continues to fall lightly. No impact on the game at the moment. And Byrd hits one up the middle, and he's got the Reds' first hit. So a 1-out single for Marlon Byrd.
Fastball didn't get in enough. Marlon is a very, very good hitter. Good ball player. Nice career.
Now it's Skip Schumacher, the former Cardinal, now 35 years old. Getting the start in left field, his 20th start of the year. Another changeup from Harvey. He's thrown a lot of those here in the second inning against the left-hand hitters.
Kind of rare that you get let off with a changeup.
And for the second straight hitter, Matt falls behind 2-0.
7-8 years with St. Louis. Schumacher came up in 05. Nice player.
Plays second base and the outfield. He's done both for the Reds this year.
Call him a journeyman, huh?
Matt Harvey making his 51st career start today. His lifetime earned run average is 2.61, which, since he made his debut in 2012, is the 3rd lowest in the major leagues, behind only Clayton Kershaw and Johnny Cueto. That's how good Matt has been. That's even with the slump that he had earlier this year. But he has really kicked it in the last 2 starts. 7 scoreless against Toronto. And then that last start against Atlanta, scoreless game, 7th inning, 2 out and nobody on. He gives up a double to Ryan Lavarnway, and then the pinch hitter Pedro Siriaco poked one up the middle, and that 1 run was enough to beat him. That's drilled out to right field. Granderson chasing back, and it's over his head and off the base of the wall. Byrd racing for third. He stands safely there, and in at second is Skip Schumacher with a double.
Well, nice at bat. It's a little bit troublesome. Both Bird and Schumacher, right down the pipe. That's why it bled out over the middle. So a little bit of 2 pitches here. Bird, a tough read right here for Bird. Curtis kind of disguised this a little bit. Played it well off the wall, so the Reds are in business here.
Rain's starting to fall a little bit harder. Mets are going to bring their infield in. Second and third and 1 out. Ivan DeJesus Jr. playing shortstop today for the Reds, getting 7th in the order. Infield up all the way around, and DeJesus takes a slider for a strike.
It's the son of Ivan DeJesus Sr., who was the shortstop for the Cubs and the Phillies, who I competed against for most of my career.
Senior played 15 years in the big leagues for 7 different teams. Junior's had a little rougher go. He's only had a sprinkle of big league experience. Spent the last 2 years in the minor leagues after getting some brief time with the Dodgers and the Red Sox in 11 and 12. Now 28 years old.
I see the resemblance with father and son.
Bird at third, Schumacher at second. 1-1 to DeJesus with the number 8 hitter Tucker Barnhart on deck. And he fouls it away, and so Harvey, who's in need of a strikeout here, gets ahead in the count 1-2. That has not struck out a batter yet today. And 5 6 2/3 in his last start in Atlanta. One and 2 to DeJesus. And he missed with the curveball, knocked down by Plawecki. 2-2. DeJesus getting the start at short tonight. Eugenio Suarez played there yesterday.
He's going by Suarez tonight.
You mean Eugenio?
Yes. There's the infield in.
Of course, the regular shortstop for the Red Sox, Cozart, out for the year with a knee injury. 2-2 from Harvey. And it's lined to right field. Granderson comes on to grab it. Bird has to go back to tag and then stumbles and can't advance. Bird's first move was toward the plate. Then had to go back, and his foot slipped on the bag as he went back to tag, and he had no chance to even think about coming home.
I don't think he would have come home even if he, not knowing where the right fielder is. No, he's all right. He didn't. Curtis was playing so far in, he wouldn't have been able to tag on that. He'd have been a dead duck.
Well, the Mets are now going to walk Tucker Barnhart intentionally and go after the pitcher. And this is a questionable move here, if only because Michael Lorenzen, very quickly in his big league career, has proven to be a very good hitting pitcher. And Tucker Barnhart has a reputation of being a defense first catcher who doesn't hit much. So this will be interesting to see if it works out for Terry Collins.
Well, either way you look at it, there are two players that are spot playing. And I guess the pitchers are going to concentrate more on their pitches and their hitting. I can't second guess this move at all. Well, I wouldn't be a second guess. That would be after the fact.
Well, it was the middle of the fact, because now the intentional walk has been granted. And the bases are loaded for Lorenzen, who has 5 hits in 19 at-bats, including a triple, and he's driven in 3 runs. I mentioned earlier he was a center fielder in college at Cal State Fullerton. His junior year at Fullerton, he hit .335 with 7 homers and 54 RBIs. So he's a legit hitter, and he's been one of the best hitting pitchers in the major leagues this year. So we'll see if the move of walking Barnhart works out. Bird at third, Schumacher at second, Barnhart at first, and 2 down.
Really shifting him to the opposite field. Should playing him to the opposite field, particularly on the right side of the infield. Taking away that hole. Not much to get in between Herrera and Duda. Outfield definitely shaded to right field.
Harvey's thrown a first pitch ball to 7 of the first 9 batters. Not the plan he has. And now he falls behind 2-0.
Did you notice the pitcher shaking his head real quick before the pitch? That's the drops of the water on your helmet. You know, I don't know what kind of material the helmet's made of, a composite of some sort, I'm sure. But nothing was worse than to have the raindrops coming over the bill of your cap. Very distracting.
There's a strike, 2-1. Well, the rain has only increased in intensity since the game began. We started in a light rain, and the forecast was that the rain would get heavier and heavier, and that has come to pass. Not heavy enough to stop the game, not yet. 2-1 to Lorenzen, and that's off the plate, and now Harvey's behind 3-1. Well, a bases loaded walk proved the difference in the game last night, and Harvey in danger here. So now he's got to throw a strike. And Lorenzen hits it out to right center. Back in the gap goes Lagares, deep to the warning track, and he runs it down. Side retired. Lorenzen making a bid for an extra base hit, but that's where extra base hits go to die. Harvey strands 3, still. Umbrellas galore, ponchos, whatever foul weather gear is necessary to stay dry as you can. Get to Citi Field Saturday, July 25th. The Mets play the Dodgers. Stay after the game for a special post-game concert featuring Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Heart. The post-game concert is included in the price of your ticket, and it's all presented by Pepsi. Purchase tickets online at Mets.com/concert.
And we'll take a quick look at the defense of the Cincinnati Redlegs, brought to you by Kia. Marlon Byrd, as Gary mentioned, his first start in center field since 2013, where he had 2 starts for the Mets that year. Votto, Gold Glover over at second base. Go ahead, Gary.
I was going to just mention that DeJesus is making his first start at shortstop for the Reds. He is the 28th different shortstop whom Brandon Phillips has played with since Phillips got to Cincinnati.
I knew that.
Did you really?
I was going to say it, but you just stole my thunder.
Okay. Again? Go ahead. What was I going to say next?
No.
Here's Wilmer Flores leading off with the Mets in the home second. Flores 0 for 3 last night, 5 for his last 29. You go up and down the lineup, and other than Curtis Granderson, just about everybody in this lineup has big recent negative numbers. That's how you get a team that scored 13 runs in their last 9 games. Flores, Lagares, and Plawecki for the Mets against Michael Lorenzen, who worked around Granderson's double in the first.
It's been around 2 weeks since Wilmer's last home run. That was in Atlanta on the 12th, the last road trip. Actually here, I'm sorry.
5 straight games scoring 2 runs or less. First time that's happened in 3 years. And that one Banked off Barnhart, the catcher. 1-2.
So Lorenzen has good stuff. You know, he knows what he's doing out there. That's one thing I've seen with the pitchers coming up today that I think that I'll get into it after this pitch.
Flores pops it up. Phillips has to go for it because I don't think Votto ever saw it. Votto put his glove up, and I don't think he had any idea where the ball was. But Phillips was there to make the catch.
Votto has those sleepy eyes. He can't. You're right. It looks like he just got out of bed.
He does some funny things on the field.
Yes.
I mean, some of the throws he makes to second base. Those two guys have a great time. They are starting their 896th game together, Votto and Phillips. The only combination active that's played more together, of course, is in Philly with Howard and Utley.
You see Votto way off the line, off Lagares, taking that hole away from him. That's where I like to play. If you're going to get beat more in the hole than you are down the line.
Lagares really struggling right now. 1 for his last 23.
He has been struggling, and he's been under the ball a lot and swinging under and through a lot of fastballs. He needs to try to focus on the top half of the ball. At least that's what I did if I was getting under a ball.
Looks one down the right field line, slicing away from Bruce, and that'll go in the crowd.
But getting back to the pitchers coming up today, the big difference is, and I think it's better coaching down there. I think a lot of kids coming out of college, a lot older. Over my day, they drafted kids out of high school. I mean, what kid comes out of high school throwing changeup and a slider? Usually they're hard throwers. But they teach them down the minor leagues to use it. Ooh, I just missed. And use it, you know, which we used to call pitching backward, 2-0 off-speed pitches, and take your lumps in the minor leagues and learn to do that down there. So when you come prepared to the big leagues, you have a bunch of other pitches that you're more polished, I should say. That makes sense to me.
Well, don't you think it's also the case that there are more hard throwers now than there have ever been?
I don't. You know what? I just don't buy the gun. I just think it's kind of a little bit jacked up, so all the fans can go ooh and ah. And but like I've always said, 91 miles an hour is plenty. It's not a whole lot of time to think. If you're throwing 95, that's got some serious giddy up.
So we have a conspiracy theory here about the radar gun.
Well, yeah. I'm a very cynical guy, you know that. How long have you known me, man? Quite a while.
You think the dark shadows run every corner, aren't you? Eighth pitch of the at-bat coming to Lagares. And he chops one out to the shortstop, to Jesus. Low throw, and Votto does a nice job to pick it out. Routine play, and De Jesus came up a little short, and Votto, a former Gold Glover, saved him an error.
Well, Votto is very polished over there at first base. He knows what he's doing. And actually, he got there late, so the footwork was a little poor.
Looked like his front foot was slipping. We've seen a little slippage on
the wet field.
Yep. Bird went back to tag. His foot slipped off third base. Little things that happen when you have a wet field. 2 out and nobody on. Here's Plawecki, who was 0 for 3 last night. And Kevin lifts one to center field. Bird hustling in. Side retired. Lorenzen sets the Mets down 1-2-3. Harvey back to the mound for the third with no score.
Everybody broke hemp, and I still didn't throw a professional pitch. So, like, my first year, even a little bit last year, I like really wanted to prove myself that, you know, why they chose me. It's really exciting. I mean, looking back at, you know, when I was hurt and haven't even played yet, it seemed like the guys who were going to AAA, it seemed like that was so far out of sight for me. I definitely, at one point, I would definitely say I would never see myself at this point. Now that I'm here, it's pretty cool.
Be even cooler tomorrow when Steven Matz takes them out for his big league debut there at tomorrow's Probables. Josh Smith, it'll be just his second big league start for Cincinnati.
Well, you can see his numbers in a very offensive league in the Pacific Coast League, just tearing it up. And you also notice in the background of one of those shots of Steven was Frank Viola. What better tutelage than to have Frank there looking after you.
And what was nice was that Frank had Matz in the low minors in his first full season of pro ball, and had him again this year as Brandon Phillips slices one foul. And you know, if you need a role model as a lefty starting pitcher coming up, what better than to be taught by sweet music?
And Frank, of course, 20-game winner, big curveball, great changeup. That's what I think. It's good to have those ex-major leaguers down there instructing young players. Oh, nice pitch.
Brandon Phillips badly confused on Harvey breaking ball.
Badly fooled.
Changeup.
Great changeup. He was completely fooled.
Phillips fouled out to Duda, who made a nice play in the first inning. Harvey's been anything but sharp early in this game. First 2 innings, he threw 37 pitches, more balls than strikes, which you never see with Matt. He was able to wiggle out of the bases loaded jam in the second. Joey Votto on deck, then Todd Frazier. As you can see from the front part of the mound where the color is lighter, the grounds crew is out between innings to do some work on that landing area.
Whenever it's raining in the course of a game, they're always going to take extra care of the mound and home plate. But the mound is number one concern. You can't have pitchers slipping and sliding out there.
Matt got ahead 0-2. Now a full count on Phillips. Slowly hit. Tough play for Flores coming in. And a scoop by Duda for the first out.
Well, completely overmatched a very good hitter in Brandon Phillips at bat. It happens. He jammed the heck out of him there. Matt looks very sharp. DeLucas with a nice easy short hop. Those are the kind you like.
So 1 out now, Joey Votto. And he takes a slider that ran in on him, 0-1.
Good one to take. See, the good hitters know that's not a pitch. That's not a pitch for me to swing at. It's a pitcher's pitch.
Here's your Time Warner Cable high-speed pitch, and both guys throwing gas early.
Lorenzo's been more around 94. He kind of pumped up on that one. Harvey's been consistent. Oh, where's that pitch?
For Votto, it's a ball.
Whoa. Let's see. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Young home plate umpire Tom Woodring calling the balls and strikes today.
Notice Votto choking up on the bat. There's your base.
And Hickox, Mike Estabrook, and the crew chief Dana Demuth rounding out the crew.
You've got a power hitter in Votto, also a 300 hitter, but watch kids out there. He's choking up around an inch on the bat.
And he goes down on strikes. 98 from Harvey, his hardest pitch yet for his first strikeout of the day.
Up and in. This is a very, very sharp inning for Matt. Great spot.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now Todd Frazier will come to bat. Frazier flied to left his first trip. Pokes one to second. Herrera with plenty of time. Side retired. So Harvey with his best inning yet gets the Reds 1-2-3. Middle of the third, still no score. About Steven Matz making his big league debut tomorrow. For more on the Long Island native, let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, you guys were not just talking about Matz, but also talking about the influence Frank Viola had on him at the AAA level. Speaking with Frank yesterday, he, amongst everybody else, just had only positive things to say about Steven Matz. The first thing he pointed out was the fact that Matz at the AAA level only gave up 6 home runs in 90 1/3 innings, which is almost unheard of when you talk about the Pacific Coast League. Says the biggest thing with him is he commands all 3 of his pitches so well down in the zone that it's almost impossible for hitters to lift those pitches out of the park. Pop-ups in those parks tend to go out. But he said it's beyond the stuff when it comes to Steven Matz, and that's what he thinks is going to make him successful at the next level, that mental makeup, which Frank Viola attributed a lot to what he had to go through coming out of high school, having the Tommy John surgery, and now not taking anything for granted because of it. Frank Viola said he reminds me a lot, as Harvey lines out to center field, got a good rip on that one, but he said he reminds him a lot of Jacob deGrom in terms of temperament, and the quote from Viola was, absolutely no question, he's ready to compete with anyone in pro baseball.
Well, that's nice to hear.
We have seen some rather spectacular starts to careers for Met starters over the last 3 years. Harvey in 12, Wheeler in 13, deGrom last year, Syndergaard already this year, and Steven Matz just the latest in the group. It's been something that this organization has been building toward for a long time, and in many ways tomorrow marks the culmination of the rising of the tide of great young starters that the Mets are hoping to count on for years to come. Dilson Herrera hits another one out to center field, and right in his tracks, Marlon Bird's got it, 2 out.
Well, I can remember more than a few years ago saying how the Mets had a lot of lower levels. Well, now, as you said, the natural progression, it is coming to as far as the starting pitching is concerned. It's come full circle.
And it's come in different ways. I mean, Harvey was a first-round draft pick who everybody expected to make an impact, but he made an even larger impact than expected. Syndergaard came in a trade. Wheeler came in a trade. Matz was drafted in 2009 before Harvey. But it took 3 years for him to be able to throw a pitch professionally because of the injury problems.
And deGrom was the big surprise.
Right. I mean, he was a college shortstop who just made a rapid rise, and right now is pitching better than anybody.
He is just every bit as polished as Harvey. Command of all of his pitches. And he's got, like Matt right there, they both got heart. They don't knuckle under. They get better, pitch better when the men are on base. That's what I look for.
So the prospect of having those guys, those 5 pitchers when Wheeler gets healthy in a rotation is just unbelievable. Granderson deep to left. Back goes Schumacher at the wall. It's out of here! Curtis Granderson goes the other way. The red-hot Granderson with his 5th home run in the last 7 games, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead. Number 13 for Curtis. You don't see him hit too many out that way, but he drove that ball to left.
This is impressive. Little backdoor slider, not much, and that's a home run in the old ballpark. Well, over the old dimensions.
Over the Great Wall of Flushing. Out to center field off the bat of Tejada, sending Bird all the way back, and it's over his head and off the wall on the fly. And Tejada pulls into second base. Ruben hit it dead central, 408 feet. That's about all he's got. And hit it off the center of the fence for his 13th double of the year.
Well, I guess that elbow's okay, huh? I drive a ball like that. And then a fastball right down the pipe. Bird got caught playing a little bit in, and I can't blame him. Ruben, you normally wouldn't play deep in the outfield.
So back-to-back extra base hits for the Mets. The first run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Well, you just can't get Granderson out right now. Well, 11 hits in his last 7 games, including 5 home runs.
Well, opposite field, over the wall of Flushing. That's impressive.
First time this year he's hit an opposite field home run. Now Duda with Tejada at second. Takes a curveball down for ball 1. So Lorenzen making his 10th start. That's the 10th home run he's allowed. And he almost gave up another one to Tejada. Can you imagine? Ruben almost hit it over the center field fence.
408.
Ball thrown by Duda, 1-1. I've seen Lorenzen a couple of times dial it up to 96 up in the zone. After Dyer on deck. You hear that "Let's Go Mets" chant? I just want you to know that the scoreboard did not tell them to do that. They did that all by themselves.
Well, Met fans are notorious for this. They love their chant. That's the Met cheer. That's the rallying cry.
But I think sometimes there's a feeling in ballparks that they need to tell people to cheer.
Right.
Duda gets under one. Shallow center field. Bird's had a lot of action in this inning, and he's chasing it through the wind and gets there to retire the side. But Curtis Granderson continues his rampage. Another Granderson home run, this one to left field. His 13th of the season, and Matt Harvey and the Mets have a 1-0 lead after 3. 2 every day. They've got 1, and as usual, it's Curtis Granderson who puts that run on the board. And now the Mets with a 1-0 lead as we start the 4th. Rain falling. By the way, for Curtis, his 250th career home run. So congratulations. That's a nice milestone.
Yes, it is.
So our stat guy, Dave Freed, did some research.
Yes.
The last time Granderson hit a home run to left field, September 9th, 2012. 3 years ago.
Really?
In Baltimore, where it's a chip shot to left field as a Yankee. Slowly hit by Bruce. Herrera comes in to get it. So Curtis hit 20 home runs last year, not a single one to left. His first 12 this year, none to left. And now an opposite field home run, his first as a Met.
How does Dave find that out? I wonder what he
has really good sources. Or he made it up.
What's he type in?
Wouldn't you like to know? Here's Marlon Byrd, singled to left center his first time up. One of 2 hits off Harvey, and he takes a curveball for a strike.
Well, it's amazing that he got that information right there, and the 250th home run of Granderson's career slipped right by him.
Yeah, he didn't know that at first. He's very good with the in-depth stuff. It's the basics he has trouble with. Kind of like the English language. Skip Schumacher on deck. We tease because we love him. Big day for umbrellas. I wonder if they have umbrellas at the concession stands here. If you happen to arrive without one.
I have one.
There's Dave. Dave Freed wearing his number pi.
I brought my polka dot umbrella.
You brought an umbrella that's big enough to cover the entire 18th green.
I thought it was going to be a torrential downpour. It still can be on the way to the. I don't want to get caught in the parking lot.
Line to center, but right at Lagares, doesn't have to move an inch. And Bird's retired for the second out. I mean, I brought a little compact umbrella that folds up, fits in my bag, and it'll cover my head. But you brought an umbrella big enough to cover the entire booth.
It's not that big. You didn't get one of those cheapo little ones, do you? Because if it's windy, they'll just blow it right away.
I'm not concerned.
Okay, good.
I'm going to go for the top quality.
You get what you pay for,
Schumacher, well, that's how we got you. Schumacher hit one off the wall for a double his first time up, and Harvey throws a slider at his feet. 1-1.
Matt is just like watching a 10-year veteran out here, a 15-year vet. It's fun to watch. He would be no day in the park to hit off of. It would be a day's work.
So we have our third postponement of the day. Rained out in Philly after they played an inning and a half. So rained out in Detroit, rained out in Baltimore, rained out in Philly. And a change up in for a strike. Of course, this is not yet an official game. You have to play at least 4.5 with the home team leading, or 5 if the home team is not leading.
If the score doesn't change, 7 outs are necessary.
So let me ask you a question. Harvey gets through this inning. Mets come up in the bottom of the 4th. You trying to score more runs?
Yes.
Or are you trying to get the inning over?
You can't have a magic crystal ball, and this is moving quickly. It could move right through. No, you want to score runs.
To Schumacher, and bounced off his foot, a foul ball.
Oh, he's got a good slider today to the left-handers, really snapping it off down and in. You can see there's the grip on this slider, and I tell you what, he snapped this one off. There it is. Look at that down tilt. Doesn't take much. Just if it breaks late, and that's what you call in our day a tight slider, it can, as long as it breaks down 2 inches and late, it gets under your bat.
9th pitch of the at bat to Schumacher, and he walked him. Second walk given up by Harvey. The first was intentional. This one comes with 2 outs.
I don't know if you remember. Sure you would. He threw a no-hitter against the Mets. Ed Halicki.
Sure.
Ed Halicki was around 6'8", did not throw hard, and he had a little 4-inch slider, but it broke at the last second, and it broke down. And it took me a while to realize that I had to anticipate that break. Now, with Harvey throwing this hard slider, in the low 90s, upper 80s, or whatever he does at 90 miles an hour, that's a little more challenging.
Now facing DeJesus, who lined out to right his first time up. And there's a knee-high fastball for a strike, 1-1. Tucker Barnhart, the number 8 hitter, switch hitter on deck. Schumacher at first and 2 out. And DeJesus takes one on the corner, 1-2.
He's been with that changeup hitting that outside corner against the right-handers. He's sharp.
He came into this game looking to throw that changeup. A lot of them in the first 2 innings.
He's very sharp today so far, thus far. Come out of the chute.
1-2. And DeJesus lays off the slider, 2-2. A 92-mile-an-hour slider. How many people throw those?
Yeah, I know. The great ones.
Two to DeJesus. Out to right. Granderson measuring it. Side retired. Harvey works around the 2-out walk. Keeps a 1-0 lead going to the bottom of the 4th. Gyllenhaal in theaters everywhere July 24th. Terrible news for the Marlins. They lose Giancarlo Stanton to a broken hamate bone in his left hand. Giovanni Gallardo pitched a gem for the Rangers in Toronto today. 3 hits over 8 1/3. And Texas beat Toronto. And Michael Wacha goes for win number 10. Cardinals now 25 games over 500.
They beat the Cubs last night.
They did. 3-2.
They just are a freight train going downhill, man. They just unstoppable.
Michael Kadire will lead off the home 4th against Michael Lorenzen.
6 outs for an official game.
You're keeping track. Kadire takes a strike.
The Mets have been pretty fortunate as far as rain this year. They only had a couple. Was there a rain out at all? Was it Atlanta? No, we haven't.
No rain outs yet. Pulled over the bag and down the line by Kadire. Chased by Schumacher. And Kadire pulls him at second base with a leadoff double. And now nobody covering third, and Kadire unable to take advantage.
Down and in fastball. Turns on it, just out of the reach of Frazier. Oh, tipped his glove. Nice work, guys.
Well, the Mets had only 2 hits last night, a triple and a home run. They have 4 hits today, 3 doubles and a home run. So they have 6 hits in this series. All have been extra base hits. How unusual is that? Here's Flores, who popped up his first time up, and he pushes a bunt and fouls it off. So the Mets trying to play for 1 run here with a 1-0 lead in the 4th, and rain falling and perhaps about to get harder.
Well, I know what Wilmer's thinking, but I don't want Wilmer bunting. He goes the other way. Just look for your pitch that you can handle, that you can hit with authority to the opposite field.
Otto and Frazier both in on the edge of the grass now, and Flores trying to take one the other way, fouls it off.
Now, when you get an 0-2 count, Gary, and you want to get the runner over, now you just got to go to hitting. It becomes very difficult. You're in a hole 0-2. You're trying to go up the middle anyway when you got 2 strikes.
In the first inning, Mets got a leadoff double from Granderson, but Tejada pulled one on a 3-1 pitch and did not advance him, and Granderson never moved. Now it's 0-2 to Flores, and Wilmer lays off, and it's in there for a call third strike. He certainly didn't think so. A slider that
I thought it was a strike.
Tom Woodring punches him out on.
It wasn't low. I thought this was a pitcher's pitch. That's a pretty doggone good pitch right there. It's got the corner, and it wasn't low. That's just a real nasty slider. This kid's got good stuff.
Second strikeout for Lorenzen. So Wilmer, who very rarely shows emotion, goes away angry.
I like it.
And now Lagares, who grounded out to short his first time up. So again, the Mets get a leadoff double, and the next hitter fails to advance him. It's twice now. You know, the Mets have not been a great offensive team all year long, but when they were winning games early in the season, they were getting that runner over. They were building runs.
Right. Yes, I remember. I feel like Maurice Chevalier.
Oh, yes. I remember it well. Well, the Mets are right near the top in terms of teams scoring 3 or fewer runs, but they've had more success in those low-scoring games than anybody else because of their great starting pitching.
Correct.
Those other teams on that list are all really scuffling.
Yeah, the rest of the teams on that list don't have a pitching staff even remotely close to the Mets. Terry's always alert and in it. I've seen managers snooze.
Are you naming names?
No.
Lagares hits it sharply, but right at the Gold Glover Phillips. And that's the second out as Kadire goes over to third. So 2 out, a runner at third, and Kevin Plawecki will try and get them all. Plawecki flied to center his first time up. Let's see what the Reds do here. You got Matt Harvey hitting 8th in the order on deck.
They're going to walk him.
And they're going to do exactly that. So the Mets walk Barnhart with the pitcher coming up. Now remember, Harvey hit the ball very hard his first time up, lining out to Bird in center field, and he'll have an RBI chance here with 2 out. So this will be the first walk for Lorenzen, who's had problems with walks. He had walked 29 batters in 55 innings prior to today, but this will be his first walk in this game, and it's intentional.
Well, Phillips, all the Gold Gloves for. See, the glove came down late. Oh boy. You see, he gets a little bit loose sometimes in the field, as great a fielder as he is.
He had a golden heel.
Boy, put him behind the net. In front of the net.
So here's Harvey. 3 hits, 1 RBI this season. First and third and 2 out. He had a bullet his first time up that Bird caught in center. Dyer at third, Plawecki at first, and not much speed out there. Got 2 pitchers in this game who can swing the bat. So Lorenzen bat with the bases loaded earlier and hit one to the warning track. And now he's got to get Harvey out in a big spot. And he throws the curveball off the plate, 1-1.
Well, remember when they built this stadium, remember Old Shea, it's all landfill around here, and Shea on a rainy day like this would get so soggy. But with the filtration system they have underneath the stadium, everything that gets the water out of here, it just, the fields looks great.
Yeah, you can pour 2 inches of rain on that outfield in an hour and it'll just absorb it like it's nothing. But the one thing that they've never been able to solve is the state of infield dirt. You can put more clay in there to absorb it, but you know, if it rains hard enough, that
gets muddy.
Yeah, it does.
Nothing worse when you go out in the outfield as an infielder. The outfielders would always moan and groan at us because they got to play in it. Whoa, that's just a breaking ball that got away from them. The fans are reacting, but clearly unintentional. But if you had to go back in as an infielder, go back into an outfield for a shallow pop-up, you're getting your feet wet, and it's
squishy.
A cold day, your feet would freeze.
He fouls off a 96-mile-an-hour fastball to stay alive. Hate that squishiness.
Well, you only had the sanitary sock underneath in our day. The stirrups and the sanitary sock is very thin.
7th pitch of the at-bat coming from Lorenzen to Harvey. And it's in for a call, third strike, and Lorenzen able to get out of trouble. His 3rd strikeout of the day. Mets waste a leadoff double and still lead just 1-0. More shows on more screens. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. Well, rain coming down. Grounds crew out on the field doing all sorts of work to try and keep this field playable. Throwing the diamond dry around, trying to soak up some of the moisture on the infield. The rain coming down at a better clip now than it has all day.
This is the game when they really work their fannies off. They're out there keeping that field as dry as possible in the infield, the dirt part. As an infielder, I noticed that they put it in second base, the middle infield positions. They put it where they're standing, kind of deep. As an infielder, I'm very rarely going to catch a ball there deep. I want it manicured in front of me where I'm going to catch the ground ball, which is what they do too.
It's so wet out there that Matt Harvey just exchanged the wet rosin bag for a dry one.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want a wet rosin bag. It's worthless.
I mean, the rosin is designed to try and keep you dry.
And they got to hustle up here.
Well, they're doing some serious work.
We should get this inning in.
This is still not an official game. If Harvey's able to get 3 outs and maintain the lead, it would then be an official game after 4.5. While they work, we'll check out the out-of-town scores brought to you by the Dodge Drive and Discover event. Rainouts galore. They played an inning and a half in Philly before they called that game. The Twins beat the Brewers 5-2. The Pirates, after a rain delay, leading the Braves, and it's raining in Pittsburgh now 5-1. Rockies and Giants tied 3-3 in the 4th after Colorado won a thrilling 8-6 game last night. Let's see, Marlins without Giancarlo Stanton have the lead. Another big day for Justin Turner for LA. And tonight, Cubs and Cardinals, Diamondbacks and Padres.
Oh,
and there are the makings for nachos.
Wow.
I didn't know we had the overhead cam on the nacho stand.
Jeez, my goodness, big brother.
Do you think that those folks signed waivers to be able to be on the TV from the nacho stand?
I think Mr. Orwell had no clue.
Cameras everywhere. Oh, there's Keith's Grill.
Yes.
Hiding behind the post. And, I can't tell if there's much traffic there. Don't know if your commissions are up today.
Oh, well, there's no commissions. Straight fee.
Thank goodness. Who would want to worry? So the grounds crew has done its work to try and keep things playable. Tucker Barnhart will lead off for the Reds in the top of the 5th. Barnhart was intentionally walked his first time up. He and Brian Pena now are sharing the catching for the Reds, with Devin Mesoraco out for the year.
Keep that fastball upstairs on this guy. Just threw that one right by him.
Barnhart, a switch hitter, known more for his defensive skills than for his bat. But he has 3 home runs this year, and they've all come from this side of the plate.
Oh, boy.
We've moved from one delicacy to another, off to the sausage and peppers.
A lot of indigestion there.
Looked like they might have been on the grill a little long. Up and away, 2-1. The pitcher Lorenzen is on deck. And then Brandon Phillips. Harvey's allowed just 2 hits. They both came in the 2nd. That's hit in the air to right. Granderson started back, now angling in toward the line, and he gets there, and he drops the ball on the slide, and Barnhart will go to second base. Well, he took the great circle route to the ball, but he got there, and then as he made the slide, the ball just fell out of his glove.
And that's a play that Curtis is really adept at and doesn't make it here. And that's going to probably be an error, I would.
Now they scored it a double.
Wow.
That should be an error. The ball was right in his glove.
Well, I'll tell you what. Scoring to had 50 more hits with the scorers today.
Well, I know that every time a fielder leaves his feet, they almost automatically scored a hit, but I mean that should have been an error. So now Lorenzen is up. The Mets look for the bunt, and he bunts it beautifully down to third. Perfectly executed. 5-4 on the sacrifice, and Barnhart's now at third.
Beautiful bunt. Keeps the bat level. Bat out in front. Good pitch to bunt up, and the Mets are going to bring the infield in. And then he's going to have Harvey's going to have his work cut out for him, going through Phillips and Votto.
Tying run at third with 1 out. Phillips today has fouled out to first and grounded out to short, 0 for 2. 1 for 6 in this series. So Harvey with some heavy lifting here in the 5th. And the infield in all the way around against Phillips. And he lines one into left center, and that'll tie up the game. And it's going to go all the way back to the warning track. Phillips into second base with an RBI double as Barnhart scores, and it's a 1-1 game. And for the 31st straight game in Flushing, Brandon Phillips has a base hit.
Well, this one is big here. Infield in, just a bullet. First ball, fastball hitting. When you got a pitcher of Harvey's stuff, you can't wait around. Can't let him get ahead. You get a first ball, fastball, you're ready. You got to be ready to attack.
So now Votto with the go-ahead run in scoring position and 1 out. Votto is 0 for 2, and he pops one foul. That'll head into the umbrellas. 0-1.
Votto's been late, tardy. A long swing.
Votto today has flied to right and struck out. 0 for 6 in the series. So Phillips is now hit in 31 straight games in Flushing. The first 10 at Shea and the last 21 at Citi Field. That's the longest Citi Field hitting streak by anybody, home or visitor. Angel Pagan had the longest streak. He had a 19-game Citi Field hitting streak when he played for the Mets, and now Phillips has hit in 21 straight in this ballpark.
And the rain's coming down a little bit harder.
To me, the telling sign when it's raining is always when the dirt portion of the infield starts to shine. And we're getting to that point now where it's getting a little shiny. And now Harvey behind on Votto, 3-1 with Todd Frazier on deck. How often during the last week and a half have the Mets been undone by a play not made in the field?
That's what happens when you go bad. When you're going hot, everything goes your way. You get away with it. When you're going bad, every mistake, it just seems to you pay.
And when you're scoring 1 or 2 runs a game, that one defensive mistake is enough to beat you. It has certainly happened more than once during this last stretch. 3-2, and he strikes out Votto. 3-2 slider gets him, his second strikeout of the day, and both have been Votto.
Look at Votto's reaction. A little cutter. Frustration.
So 2 out of the inning. Phillips still at second, and now Todd Frazier, who has flied to left and grounded to second, 0 for 2. It's always the case when the Reds are in town. Todd Frazier has tons of family and friends on hand up from Tom's River.
Look at the depth of the outfield, Gare. The Mets, a guy with 25 home runs. Wow, that's shallow.
Well, it's situational. You'd like to be able to throw Phillips out at the plate on a base hit.
I guess so.
There he is as a Little League World Series performer. And there he is today. 0-2 from Harvey. Just off the corner at 97. 1-2.
It's missed.
Zielecki trying to frame it. Tom Woodring said no. Jay Bruce on deck. Phillips at second and 2 out. 1-2 to Frazier. Struck him out. Harvey with back-to-back strikeouts of Votto and Frazier after the Reds tie the game. Phillips driving home a run after Granderson failed to hold Barnhart's double. It's a 1-1 game halfway through. got a run in the third on a Curtis Granderson home run, gave back a run in the fifth on a ball Granderson couldn't hold. So Curtis giveth, Curtis taketh away.
As you said, without Curtis, it'd be zip zip. But most importantly, Mets had two innings where they had leadoff doubles and cannot get a run in.
Did not advance the runner with the following hitter either time. So it's a 1-1 game as we go to the bottom of the fifth. Dilson Herrera will lead off against Michael Lorenzen, and then Granderson will be up second in the inning. Lorenzen's given up 4 hits in this game. All have been extra base hits, 4 doubles and a home run. The grounds crew working overtime today to try and keep things in shape. They put a new scraper out there for the pitchers to trying to get the mud out of their spikes.
Found a little window in the rain right here. It's a little bit of a sprinkle right now.
That thing's going to get gunked up in a hurry if they replaced it.
Always the tongue depressors I would keep in my back pocket in a game like this.
Did that even work?
Oh, yeah, because it would cling to your cleats.
The tongue depressor got it out sufficiently?
Yes, it did. We'd never use it to say after that.
Not after that. Ronnie would blanch if he did that. Here's Dilson Herrera, who flied to center his first time up. Each team with a run and 4 hits. And Herrera takes a fastball for a strike. Michael Lorenzen, 23-year-old out of Cal State Fullerton, making his 10th career start. Well, the Mets have seen a lot of rookie starters lately. They took on Taylor Youngman in Milwaukee day before yesterday, and Youngman threw 5 scoreless innings against them. Game the Mets eventually won.
Well, they got the All-Star Game logo on their right shoulder.
All-Star Game will be in Cincinnati. Curveball in for a call, 3rd strike. So Herrera caught looking, and that's 4 strikeouts now for Lorenzen. Last 3 have been looking. Lorenzen's numbers coming in. Not a lot of strikeouts, more walks than usual.
Yeah, and not a strikeout guy, obviously, and he's only walked 1 guy in this game, and that was intentionally. So he's throwing strikes.
So now Granderson, who is very hard to retire right now. 7-game hitting streak, 11 for 23 with 5 home runs in the 7 games, including an opposite field home run his last time up, his first as a Met.
Opposite field. Little try to backdoor slider, just kind of spun it up there, and impressive home run to the opposite field by Curtis, number 13.
And Lorenzen, not surprisingly, being careful this time to Curtis, threw him a 2-0 changeup, and now he's behind 3-0. And as we've seen, Curtis likes to swing 3-0 if he gets something to hit. But not this time. Ball 4, and he's on for the 3rd straight time. So the second walk given up by Lorenzen puts the lead run aboard with 1 out. And brings to the plate Ruben Tejada, who hit one off the center field fence his last time up.
Marlon Byrd playing a little bit deeper.
Marlon getting his first start in center field in 2 years. Got some great research for you on Marlon Byrd playing center field for the Reds at age almost 38. Back in 2010, Jim Edmonds played a few games in center field for the Reds as a 40-year-old. Other than that, Marlon Byrd is the oldest Red center fielder since 1944, when Estelle Crabtree played 46 games in center field for the Reds. It was during World War II. Line to Frazier, and back to first goes Granderson, 2 out. So it's very rare to have a center fielder this old. Tejada hits another ball hard.
Right at him.
So 2 out. Granderson still at first, and now Duda, who has struck out and flied out.
Be nice to have Duda break out right here. Maybe square one up in the Pepsi porch.
Terry Collins was asked today if he had some more depth, would he consider giving Duda a day off since he's struggling so badly? And Terry said, no, I don't think I'd do that against a right-hander because he's still such a threat even when he's slumping. And the Mets hope that threat can turn into action right here. Ball on the strike. High throw, but Votto reels it in. Granderson stole a base last night, only his 5th of the year, and this would be a very tough day to try and steal a base with a wet track. He's not been doing much running anyway. The Dark Knight masks out in force. Good changeup by Lorenzen, 1-2.
Another changeup. Lucas swinging at a bad one. There's his numbers, the last almost a month's worth of work. He's been struggling.
Granderson at first with 2 out. Up and in with the fastball, 2-2 to Duda.
Changeup now coming. I could be wrong.
Barnhart looking into the dugout. I wonder if they're calling pitches from there or just the running game.
Here comes the cambio.
And Duda cracks it into center field for a base hit. Bird scoops it up, and Granderson will stop at second.
Got it up that time.
So Duda, seeing a steady diet of changeups, finally turns one around.
No, circle change. Got it up. Stayed back.
So the Mets have 2 on with 2 out. And Michael Kadire coming up. Kadire has hit 2 balls hard today, lined out to right in the first, and then doubled over the third base bag in the 4th. The hit for Kadire was just his 2nd in his last 22 at bats. Granderson the lead run at second. Duda at first with 2 down. Mets now have 5 hits against Lorenzen. And it runs inside, ball 1. Well, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. We mentioned earlier the Mets have really struggled this year, and so, for that matter, have the Reds.
Yep.
The way that single by Duda, the first single for the Mets in this series. And had 6 extra base hits before that. Sometimes all it takes is a little single. That's what settled for one here from Kadire. Wilmer Flores would be next. One-two from Lorenzen, and Kadire hits one right at the shortstop. De Jesus goes the short way, and that retires the side. We have an official game, but it's a tie game. Mets and Reds tied 1-1 after 5. very similar through the first 5 innings. Matt Harvey's thrown 85 pitches. Michael Lorenzen has thrown 80. And each has allowed 1 run as we go to the 6th inning. The Browns crew has been out doing more work on the infield, dropping Diamond Dry and trying to soak up some of the moisture. It's been raining at some level or other right from the start of the game. Game started on time, and they're trying to keep it on time. But there's a concert here in this ballpark after the game tonight. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, and the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. Jay Bruce leads off in the 6th inning. Fly to left, grounded to second, 0 for 2. And takes high from Harvey. Bruce, Bird, and Schumacher against Matt. Bruce cracks one to right, but moving over Granderson, and this time it drops in for a hit. Granderson played that very tentatively. Again, not a good route to the ball. That was the case before he dropped the one on the slide in the last inning, and now he allows one to drop in front of him.
I think that Curtis thought this ball was hit better. I thought it was. It just died.
Well, you can also see the footing out there is getting a little iffy.
Let's see where the contact is towards the end of the bat.
So Bruce is aboard with a leadoff hit, and now the tie-breaking run at first for Marlon Byrd, who's hit the ball hard twice, a single to left center and a line out to center field. And he hits a double play ball to Flores. Herrera with a turn, easy 6-4-3 double play, and just like that, 2 out and nobody on.
Taylor made. Herrera is so good at turning that double play. Now, he had no pressure here, and he knew it. He knew it was hit so hard, the runner had no chance to get anywhere near him. Look at him just take his time, and he's got a strong arm. Nice, perfect feed from Flores. Look how strong his legs are. Need him to hit, that's all.
Now Skip Schumacher, who doubled off the fence and right in the 2nd and then walked in the 4th. Getting a spot start in left field today. And he bloops that one out to left. Kadyr's right there waiting. And that retires the side. A 5-pitch inning for Matt Harvey. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Mets and Reds still tied at 1. One more game with the Reds tomorrow afternoon. That'll be Steven Matz's big league debut. Off day on Monday. Then the Cubs are in for 3. Then the Mets head out west to play the Dodgers and the Giants. Top 2 teams in the National League West. Umbrellas mandatory on a rainy Saturday afternoon, turning into evening.
getting a little chilly.
Certainly not seasonable weather by June 27th standards. See, that guy's got the golf umbrella, but he needed it. He had a, couple of members of his family he needed to keep dry. There are some ballparks where they don't allow you to bring umbrellas, and then the ponchos are the mandatory item.
Just like they stopped having Bat Day, didn't they?
Can you explain how you got from point A to point B there?
Well, the umbrella could be an offensive weapon.
Oh, I see. I thought it was more about blocking people's view.
I thought more in terms of...
Oh, you're thinking... again, shadows around every corner for you. Wilmer Flores leads off the home 6th inning against Michael Lorenzen. And Flores takes the first pitch out of the strike zone for ball 1. Flores has popped up and struck out. 0 for 2 today, 0 for 5 in this series. Lagares and Plawecki to follow. Each team with a run and 5 hits. And a broken bat bloop down the left field line. That might fall just foul. Well, he didn't get much of it, but he almost got himself a lucky hit.
A lucky double. Good job done by the ball boy down there, getting clear with the play.
He looks cold.
They're almost in July.
I know.
Jeez.
It'll be warmer tomorrow.
This guy's sneaky. I like Lorenzen. He's got good stuff.
Made 3 starts in the minor leagues before they called him up in late April to make his big league debut. He's pitched a couple of times in relief, making his 10th start. And he has done well, despite high walk totals and low strikeout totals. That is possible. 1-2 coming. And the breaking ball lined to the left for a base hit. So Flores with a leadoff hit in the home 6th inning.
Well, Flores tracked that slider. And it too much on top. The slider did, instead of breaking away, just kind of broke more down. Flores, there's the grip. Always got the finger jabber on it, whatever you want to call it. Spiking knuckle curve. Nice at bat by Wilmer. Good balance.
So the Mets have the leadoff man on. They've stranded leadoff doubles twice in this game. Now they get the leadoff single from Flores, and Lagares stands in. He's 0 for 2. Hit the ball hard right at Phillips, who knocked it down with his foot his last time up, trying to bunt. And Barnhart was thinking of throwing down to first, but Votto had vacated to charge, and there was nobody covering first base. To Lagares with Plawecki on deck. Set to swing that time, and Barnhart had to lunge for that fastball. It's 2-0. We talked about Lorenzen earlier. Terrific center fielder for Cal State Fullerton. He was their closer and begins starting until last year in Double-A. And doing a nice job with it now at the big league level at age 23. Behind on Lagares, 2-0. And that's off the plate, 3-0.
Well,
Lorenzen has walked 2 today. One of those was intentional, but he has a history over the course of his brief big league career of walking people. See Daryl Siciliani with a bat.
Yeah, they'll pinch hit for Harvey here if Lagares gets on base.
There's a strike, 3-1. Well, I would think if they can take the lead before Harvey's spot comes up, they'd leave him in.
Yes. You bunt Plawecki when pinch hit Siciliani. I keep on wanting to say Siciliano. Oh, ball
That's
4.
That's a double play ball right at the shortstop to Jesus. The bare hand by Phillips, and they can't turn the double play. Well, not quite hit hard enough, and Phillips, who loves to show off time with the bare hand play, but unable to turn it.
He's too cool for school for me. That's just unnecessary. I'm sorry. And Lagares swung at ball 4. He continues to go out of the strike zone.
So now Lagares at first with 1 out, and Plawecki the batter, and Siciliani's come out on deck to bat for Harvey. Plawecki is flied out and walked 0 for 1. Well,
it doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, if there's a double play ball, Matt's going to go back out, or runner on first, he may still hit. We'll see. It's not a pitch count problem, is it?
Lagares runs. It's chopped over the mound. Grabbed by Lorenzen. Terrific play, and he throws him out.
Wow.
I don't think either one of the infielders on the left side was going to be able to make that play, but the pitcher did.
This is a fabulous play. Look at this kid. 6'3", 205. Beautiful play. And that's going to be it for Harvey. He's going to be a hard luck pitcher again.
Well, the only chance the Mets have to get him a win is to score a run right here.
So the 8th hole this time works against the Mets and against Harvey.
Carlos Torres up in the bullpen, so it's up to Daryl Siciliani to try and get Harvey the opportunity for a win. He lost 1-0 in Atlanta in his last start. He gave up just 1 run, and that wasn't entirely his fault either, as Granderson dropped a very catchable ball in right field. It's an earned run, but could have easily not been. And Harvey will have a no decision unless the Mets can score him a run here in the 6th. Meanwhile, Jeff Pico, the pitching coach, is out at the mound for the Reds talking with Lorenzen.
Well, you got a struggling young Herrera behind the left-hand hitter. So the pitching coach Pico probably telling him, hey, you don't have to go after this guy, even though he's a rookie also.
Siciliani's cooled down lately, just 1 for his last 12. The Mets are 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position today. Siciliani trying to change that with Lagares at second and 2 out. And Darrell takes the curveball down for ball 1. Lorenzen up over 90 pitches now, and the Reds get their bullpen cranking. They've got the left-hander Manny Parra up. And Siciliani just spun out of the way. 2-0. It's Parra, who pitched last night. Two-0 to Siciliani, and the curveball in for a strike. So he's pitching very carefully to Siciliani with Herrera on.
Yes, he is.
Short lead for Lagares at second.
Another
and
curve.
Siciliani takes the curve outside, 3-1.
Yeah, they've made their choice. Herrera's their mark. So as a hitter, you always get you tend to a slight bit offended. Particularly when it's an RBI situation.
3-1 to Siciliani. And it's inside ball 4, so a bit of a pitch around there. The third walk given up by Lorenzen, and Dilson Herrera will come up with 2 men on. Dilson today has flied to center and taken a call third strike. Remember, he had a triple last night and wound up scoring the go-ahead run. But he has just 2 hits in his last 23 at-bats. Crucial moment in this game. With 2 out and 2 on in the home 6th. Rain continuing to fall. Infield dirt starting to get slick again. Frazier trying to do some moves over at third base just to see if he can move to his left and right properly on the wet dirt. Lagares at second, Siciliani at first. Good speed on the bases for the Mets. Not often they get to say that. And Herrera tries to lay off the breaking ball and does. Ball one.
Votto giving that right field line again. I have not seen a first baseman playing the hole like he does. I like it.
And now it's 2-0 to Herrera with Curtis Granderson on deck. And you have to figure if Lorenzen doesn't get Herrera, they'll bring in the lefty to face Granderson.
Well, you want to stay in the game if you're a pitcher. You don't want a no decision. This is a good pitch to hit for Herrera right here. If you don't get it, spit on it. I don't mean that literally.
Well, you can.
It's a term. It's a term.
Reject it. Do not offer it. Herrera with a 2-0 advantage. And he takes outside, ball three. Now you got to take a pitch here, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, wow.
Ball four, and the bases are loaded, and Granderson's coming up. And that's going to be all, I am sure, for Michael Lorenzen. Here comes Brian Price. And they'll bring in the lefty Parra to face the red-hot Granderson with the bases loaded. So Lorenzen walked his final two hitters with two outs. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon, America's largest and most reliable 4G LTE network. 1-1 game in the sixth. We'll be right back.
The veteran came up with Milwaukee in 07. In 08-09 was a starter for the Brew Crew. And then he lost that job. He had a terrible year in 2010. They threw him in the bullpen.
Now 32 years old. He worked a 1-2-3 inning last night, including retiring Granderson on a fly ball. Nobody's gotten Curtis out so far today. A double, a home run, and a walk. And he'll bat with the bases loaded and two out. And a chance to get Matt Harvey an opportunity for a victory if the Mets can score here in the bottom of the sixth. As what Curtis has done the last 7 games, 5 home runs in that span.
Hitting 130 against left-handers. If you wonder why the manager Brian Price made the move, this only makes it 6 for 46 against left-handers. 1 home run and 1 double.
Terry Collins talking to Matt Harvey. A time of very limited offense for the Mets, but this has been the one guy who's been hot. He hasn't had too many opportunities with men on base. He's got one now.
And we'll see how the Reds will set up defensively against Curtis here. And they're going to go up the middle with shortstop De Jesus. Frazier way in the hole. Pull in the infield. On the right side, excuse me.
Bases loaded, 2 out, and Granderson lays off the first pitch slider. Ball 1. Good stop by Barnhart. Mets have as good speed as they can muster on the bases, with Lagares at third, Siciliani at second, and Herrera at first. Granderson takes inside, and Parra falls behind 2-0.
Good eye right there, Curtis.
He's been doing that all year. 39 walks. He's in the top 10 in the league in walks.
Can they have a repeat of last night? A walk in of a run? It's a big pitch right here for Parra.
2-0 to Granderson. Checks his swing. It's a strike.
Good strike. Good one to take. Up and in fastball. Came right back in, doubled up, and made the pitch. Can't handle it. Don't even try.
Mets as a team are hitting .386 with the bases loaded this year. Granderson trying to get the Mets the lead.
Step out here.
And Barnhart really having trouble getting together on the side.
Curtis doesn't even want to. There you go. Step out, Curtis. Take a deep breath. There you go.
Baseball got wet. Barr threw it away. Gets a new one. Two-one. In tight, ball 3.
Good eye. Interesting how Barnhart was set up outside and popped inside the last minute. Well, well, well. Pressure's on the pitcher.
Bases loaded, 2 out, 3-1 to Granderson. In the air, left field. Steadying his Schumacher. Side retired. And the Mets strand 3 in the 6th. They have left 9 runners on base in the first 6 innings. Still tied. Training a little harder now, and there's some bad stuff on the way. And so, with the game tied 1-1 after 6 innings, the umpires have opted to cover the field. And the grounds crew, which has been working awfully hard already, has more work to do here to get the tarp onto the field. Dana DeMuth, the crew chief, making the call. And the way the rules are written now, if you have a situation like this with a tie game where it's already an official game and the game cannot be resumed, it would be a suspended game. Everything would count, and they'd pick the game up at this point tomorrow. It used to be that if you had a game at this point that was tied, it would just go in the books as a tie game, and you'd have to replay it in its entirety. That is no longer the case. So I'm sure they're hoping they can resume, but if they can't, they would pick this up from this point tomorrow.
Question, and I should know this, it's been so long. If it's an official game, and do the stats count?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Again, it's a suspended game, and they pick it up from this point.
No, I mean, in
the old days.
Yes, would the
stats
stats
count?
count?
Tie game, everything counted.
Okay, that's right.
If it's not an official game, if you haven't played 4.5 or 5 innings, then everything gets
right.
played.
Exactly.
That's what happened in Philly today. The Nats and Phils started their game, but were unable to complete it. Meanwhile, another Mets starting pitcher throws a terrific game. Mets just can't generate enough offense. They make a mistake on defense, and so Matt Harvey winds up with a no decision.
Well, 9 men left on base. The Mets have had their opportunities. They had 2 innings where they had leadoff doubles, failure to get the advance the runner. Things that we talked about in the middle of the game that they did in April and May when they were playing so well. They were advancing the runner over and in, as it's called in baseball jargon. They're not getting it done. So they've had their opportunities. Curtis, another home run from Curtis. He's been involved in both scores. You know, he's very adept at playing right field and making catches against down the right field line. He made us try to make a sliding catch leading off that I forget what inning, the 5th inning for the Reds. Popped out of his glove. That run wound up scoring.
Well, we're going to wait out the rain delay here. The Mets and Reds tied at 1 after 6. Tarp is now on the field. Well, Brandon Phillips always seems to be happy, doesn't he? Even in the rain. Here comes the rain again. We'll be right back to Citi Field.